not used to it. Okay. A little bit slow on the start up there.
Chicken sandwich taco from Taco Bell. Is it a sandwich or a taco?
Okay, guys, we're going to have a short agenda for this meeting. Our speaker is asked if she could head up the meeting here. She's got to be somewhere in a little while. We'll put off the business meeting until the very end. So we're going to listen to Betty first, and then Brian is going to run through several things for us, and then we will at the end have the business meeting. So Betty Maya, are you ready to share a screen or?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. We'll have Dawn give an introduction for you. I haven't exactly heard what the topic is, but I'm very anxious to hear. So Dawn, you're on mute.
All right. Let me get my screen situated here. Awesome. Well, for some of you, actually probably for most of you who probably aren't aware, October is Hill Country Night Sky Month. So that means that groups in the Hill Country, communities, IDA associated dark sky sites are all putting extra effort towards educating the general public, hosting events, and overall putting a little bit more of an emphasis on the importance of night sky preservation and protection against light pollution. And as such, I have a great pleasure of introducing Vetemaya Foote. She is the Director of Engagement for the International Dark Sky Association. And I've had the pleasure of working with her for several years as a volunteer advocate with IDA, and she leads us with tremendous enthusiasm, with a massive amount of passion for night sky protection. She's also an avid astrophotographer and does travel to take her photography at night as well. She holds a degree from the University of Utah Honors Program with an HBS in Environmental and Sustainable Studies and a minor in Spanish language. Her thesis was titled Light Pollution Hazards within Ecosystems and Mitigation Strategies for the Future. And tonight she is going to be talking to us about the importance of light, the presence of light. So without further ado, Vetemaya, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Dawn. It's good to see you. I don't know if I've ever seen your face, so it's nice to put a face to a name. And hi, Cindy. And hi, everyone else here in Texas. It's nice to meet you all. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Started here. Wait.
Great opening shot.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, I think I did this wrong.
Looks like Oregon.
Usually pretty good at Zoom, but hold on. Sorry, just a second. I want to read my notes for this. Sorry. I'm a little nervous for some reason.
You're fine.
Okay. It's because my boyfriend's in the other room and he can hear me. And it makes me scared. Okay. So if I do this, and then I do this, can you guys see just the main slide, or do you see my notes?
We're seeing your notes too.
Okay. That's what I gotta do. Well, okay. So better. Okay, perfect. Well, hi everyone. Okay, I will get started. My name's Vetemaya, and I've been working with the IDA for just over 3 years now. But I've been in dark sky conservation for about 5 years. I previously worked for the Colorado Plateau Dark Sky Cooperative and the University of Utah Consortium for Dark Sky Studies. And it's always been a dream of mine to have a career in dark skies, and everyone told me it was going to be impossible. But I'm really lucky to be here today speaking with you all, doing my dream job. So yeah, I'll talk to you about light pollution. I'm sure you all know very much about light pollution as astronomers, and I don't have to tell you how fast it's growing. But in case you missed it, the paper that just came out in August of this year has recently analyzed the light pollution that we can see from satellites. And over the last 25 years, light pollution has grown 49% in the light that we can see from satellites. And that light that we can see from satellites is blind to blue light, right? And many of the lights that have been put up all over the world are blue-rich LEDs. And so when we look at the projections, if we include that type of light that satellites are blind to, light pollution has been increasing anywhere from 270 up to 400% in certain regions. So as we watch this progression, it's really not hard to imagine a future in the United States where there are no natural darkness places remaining. And I've seen this firsthand. So this is my hometown of Moab, Utah. I took this last summer. This is probably 2 minutes from my house. And when I grew up there, you know, the Instagram hadn't hit yet. So it was a pretty quiet, small town. And we could lay down in the middle of Main Street and look up and see the Milky Way. And even just about 10 years later, you can no longer see the Milky Way from downtown Moab. If you look to the right, you can see that's where the downtown lights are, and it almost looks like it's on fire, right? And on the left-hand side of the image here, we can see that a really bright spot. That's lighting from one building. And so it's just amazing to see how even a single lighting installation at one building can have such an impact on the nighttime environment around us. And we rate the darkness of our skies using the Bortle scale. I'm sure you all know this as well. Class 9 being the most light polluted areas, inner city skies, down to class 1, which are the darkest possible skies in the world. And nowadays, even in the darkest places in the United States, there are rare few that rate even below a class 2. So this is looking towards south on the north rim of the Grand Canyon. And on a clear moonless night, unfortunately, even in this gold tier dark sky park, the brightest thing on the horizon is no longer the Milky Way or other celestial phenomena, but the light dome from Las Vegas, over 175 miles away. And we really tend to underestimate the power of light. I guess you guys probably don't as astronomers, but I think the lay people underestimate how powerful light is. And this fact really kind of helped me understand how powerful light is. So these are kind of your typical Home Depot wall packs. And what I learned is if we were to install one single Home Depot light pack on the moon and point it towards the Earth, if the moon was not lit by sunlight facing towards us, all of you could see that light with the telescopes that you probably have. And this light is proliferating around the world. The statistics are dire. 99% of the United States and Europe, as you can see here, live under light polluted skies. Globally, 1/3 of the entire world's population cannot see the Milky Way from where they live. And 80% of us in the United States alone can't see the Milky Way. So we're really losing our connection to the universe. And I'm sure you're all well aware of this from maybe interactions you have at star parties. But I heard one story from Chad Moore, who is a National Park Service ranger who started the Natural Sounds and Night Skies division within the National Park Service. And he said somebody came up to him during a star party once and, you know, timidly kind of asked, "So the moon was out during the day today. Is that okay?" And I feel like we probably all have some of these stories. So maybe to break it up a little bit, I'm going to see if anyone wants to answer some of my questions. I don't know if any of you have stories about any interactions you've had with people that really illustrate how much we have lost our connection to the night sky. So I'll open it up, or I don't know, you can raise your hand. Oops.
My name is Bill Spizzeria. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, middle of the city, and we can see the Milky Way from in front of my house in 1957.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm old. And then they came up with this thing called streetlights. And of course, when National Geographic did a whole issue in the 80s, I think, about light pollution, the sky over Chicago was the poster child on the cover of the magazine because of a huge change in those intervening decades.
Wow. That's really cool. Yeah, that was going to be my next question, is like, does anyone have stories like that of the changing nature of light pollution? And if you're lucky enough to have lived a long enough time, I've heard many of those stories before. Same with, downtown Salt Lake City. People's grandparents used to be able to see the Milky Way right from downtown. Does anybody else want to share anything?
I'll share a memory I have. When I was younger, probably in middle school or so, I got to go to space camp in Huntsville, Alabama. And coming from California, where, we still have really dark sky areas, way back when, I was shocked and amazed. The entire time I was there, I never saw the night sky. There was nothing but clouds, and the light was perpetually orange.
Oh my gosh.
From all the lighting.
Well, I'm glad you got to experience dark skies as a kid.
Yeah.
Does anybody have like crazy stories of people asking crazy questions at star parties? Like, what's the weirdest thing anybody's asked you?
Bet Maya,
Yeah.
I get asked by someone, I won't tell you who they are, how many flying saucers I've seen as an astronomer. And when you think about it, you are really magnifying things, magnifying light and everything. And technically, I have seen UFOs because I couldn't tell you the exact name and number of that satellite that just flew across the front of my telescope. But yeah, we do get asked the occasional crazy questions. And a lot of it, I think, this is just world according to Brian, is because of people seeing the only thing, the sky they're seeing is not like what I grew up with, where it was dark in the country where I lived in Keller, Texas. I learned about the stars and such in the late 70s on the back of a horse at night because my mom liked to get us to, hey, let's go out and catch the horses, but just put saddles, bridles only, no saddles, and ride around for a half an hour on the back pasture. And it was very dark in those days. But it's things about the super moon, Mars is going to be as big as the moon, all the misinformation I hear quite a bit, and people believe that because they're not actually out looking up wherever they are because they probably can't see it from where they are. And so they're just seeing whatever they skim across on social media or pops up in the mainstream news that's not correct information. And when in question, as one of our astronomers in the club used to sign off, he used to give us reports, Mark Johnston, and he would say, go outside, and if it's dark, look up. And that's how you would see it. And he did have he lived in a place dark enough where he had a permanent observatory in the back of his house. So, that's what he did. And people can't do that anymore. You're absolutely right. You've got to drive a long way to do that.
Thanks, Brian.
One of the questions that constantly surprises me at star parties is when we go to point a telescope at the moon, and people want to know if we will be able to see any of the craters on the moon.
Yeah, you can see those with your eyes, right?
Yeah.
I've had people ask me if that was a cloud when it's the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a cloud over there? Yeah. Or when it's especially people who've never seen like Saturn before, and they'll look through the scope and they say, am I really seeing it? And it's not like you don't have it inside there somewhere. Are you kidding me? I'm really looking at it. Yeah. I mean, it's first time viewers.
I've gotten that, like, so did you just put a sticker of Saturn on the end of the telescope?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like we really are, like, as a society, losing our connection to the night sky, and that makes me really sad.
To be fair, to be fair, we've done star parties indoors where we have put a photo of Saturn at the other end of the hall because we're clouded out.
Yeah, there
Right.
you go.
But not at the end of the tube, which is what people accuse us of.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The other thing about the moon is we're asked, can we see the flag on the moon that the astronauts left?
Mhm.
No.
I was asked last Saturday if people needed a license to have a telescope.
Don't need a license to have a gun. Why would you do it?
Yeah, right.
Nice. But yeah, and also to be fair, like I think dark skies are very important, but I would also just like to emphasize that there are still opportunities to connect people with the night sky in cities. And, you know, you can see all the major planets, you can look at the moon, you can look at maybe some of the brighter double stars or other things. And so while I think it is really important to see the Milky Way and have that experience and feel and touch what a naturally dark sky looks like, I also think it's actually almost more important to work to connect the people in urban areas, to give them a taste, right? So they even start to know what they're missing. But I guess I really want to talk about in this talk is how it's about being able to see the Milky Way, but light pollution is about so much more than, you know, astronomy, unfortunately. You know, it's about wasting electricity, it's about human health, it's about natural habitats. And importantly, I think to me, it's about connecting us as humans, as a society, to a source of awe and inspiration and wonder that takes us out of ourselves and kind of our small lives. And that is the most important piece to me, because I was lucky enough to be raised in a small town where these are the skies that I saw every night growing up as a kid. And I would spend my summer nights sleeping on the trampoline and looking up at the stars. And I just remember asking myself, like, how people ever even thought to try and count them. You know, like I couldn't count the amount of stars in a 1 degree radius on the night sky, let alone the entire sky. And that experience to me as a kid was life-changing. And I think it's a big part of who I am today. And I don't think that that should be a privilege, right? That only few lucky people get to have, but I think that this connection to the night sky should be a right. And so I want to talk about light pollution as it relates to social justice. And Black, Mexican, Latino, and Asian Americans all experience light pollution in their neighborhoods at twice the level of white Americans. And historically, lighting has been used you know, against people of color back in the days of slavery. If you were a slave, you were not allowed out at night without carrying a lantern. This was called the Lantern Law. And it was a way to keep eyes on people who are considered dangerous, right? And this is being replicated today, the same day and age we all live in. This image shows what's being called omnipresence. And these are high-powered LED floodlights that are powered with noisy generators that are blasted onto the windows and housing of housing projects in New York City. And they're, you know, put there because they're supposedly high crime areas. But to me, what this really is just reinforcing the power dynamics of color and race and wealth in our society. Like you would never see this type of lighting in a nice, wealthy suburb, right? You see this type of lighting in areas where there are people of color, where they're low income, and where it's considered high crime. Even though if you watch this documentary, you'll see that the people who live here, they mention, you know, that they feel safe in these areas, that they don't think of it as a high crime area. And, you know, this is even more compounded when we think about the health impacts that light pollution has on people. So people of color are getting their whole circadian rhythm messed up at a rate twice as high as white people in the United States. And light pollution and artificial light at night has been linked to every single type of cancer, as well as depression, insomnia, obesity, and diabetes. And light pollution has also been identified as a driver of cultural genocide. And this makes sense, right? Because many, if not all, indigenous traditions around the world had their cultures and their societies based on the stars. The stars were where their stories were told, were where the gods lived, were how they navigated across the sea or across the land. It's how they tracked time, right? How they knew when to plant, when to harvest. And with the growing amount of light pollution, this ability to connect with the night sky and have that cultural piece is being taken away, and really acts as a form of ongoing cultural and ecological genocide. Not to mention the amount of money and energy light pollution wastes. Estimates range anywhere from $3 to $7 billion per year are spent lighting up the bottom of the International Space Station. Basically, all of that light is wasted. Every single photon is not doing anything useful. And globally, that amounts to 21 million tons of carbon dioxide each year. But luckily, we, and you especially as astronomers, have this window of opportunity to reconnect people with the night and to protect the remaining darkness, as well as to light healthier in our cities and our homes. And I just want to emphasize how easy light pollution is to fix. When you think about it, every other type of environmental pollution is really hard to get that pollutant out of the environment, right? Oil spills, super hard to get the oil out of the ocean. Microplastics, like really hard to get microplastics out of the ocean, but we can solve light pollution with the flip of a switch, right? And all those photons are removed from the environment. And then it's a win-win, right? You're saving money, you're helping your health, you're helping the environment, and you're bringing back that connection to the night sky. And so Dawn asked me to talk a little bit about kind of astrophotography and how I've seen astrophotography and how I use astrophotography as a tool to help raise awareness about dark skies and light pollution. So first, the first and main thing that I think astrophotography does is really inspires awe. And you can, right, when you see a beautiful photo of a night sky, it kind of catches your breath in a lot of ways. And unfortunately, this is going to be the only way that we can connect people to the night sky for a lot of people around the world who don't have the funds to travel, who don't have access to dark skies, right? Our own social media volunteer, Paris, she is great. She's been volunteering with us for like 5 years. She loves IDA. She loves the night sky, and she has never seen the Milky Way, right? So for her and for a lot of people in the world, the only way to connect with the night sky and to see what a dark sky looks like is through photography. And light pollution is such a visual issue that photography illustrates it in a way that just talking about it doesn't. If you haven't seen this image, I bet Cindy has shown this to you all many times, but you know, this is a typical glaring porch light, right? And we can see that it's creating some really harsh shadows. So our eye is adjusting to the brightest point of our field of vision, and it's making everything else darker in the background. So I don't know if you guys can see into that open gate, but there's a very faint silhouette of a person. But can you like tell what color his shirt is, or see if he's brandishing a weapon? Not until you shield that light. Right? So photography really helps us illustrate that we are not trying to say, turn all your lights off. We're really just trying to say, do your lighting in a way that is is safer for you and just makes more sense and it's better designed. So you don't get those glaringly bright spots in very, very dark places where criminals can hide and confront you. And photography also shows us the impact of light on our non-human environment friends. These photos blew my mind when I first saw them. Here you can see how the trees, the areas of the trees that are under that light dome, don't understand that the seasons are changing as well as the part of the tree that's in natural darkness. And that's because when the tree is exposed to artificial light at night, that part of the tree thinks that the days are longer. It doesn't understand the days are getting shorter, it's getting colder, the seasons are changing. So it doesn't lose its chlorophyll or lose its leaves when it should. And trees that are exposed to artificial light at night typically have shorter lifespans than those in natural darkness. And this one really tugs at my heartstrings. Here we can see an endangered seabird in New Zealand. It's kind of hard to see, but he is hiding out from all of the bright white LED lighting in New Zealand and finding the one dark patch to sleep. So birds are incredibly impacted by light pollution. It's estimated that over 1 billion birds die each year due to collisions with buildings, many of those at night. Birds navigate using the stars, and they're also confused and disoriented when they're in an area with a lot of bright lighting. So if they don't immediately strike a building, they will fly around the lit area until they drop to the ground with exhaustion, where they'll typically be eaten by city predators like cats, or just be so disoriented that they're unable to complete their migration. And here's another image just showing how light impacts the environment. These are LED streetlights along a soybean field. And you can see that the spill of the light has dramatically altered the growing pattern of the soybeans. But photography also shows us that when we change our lighting practices, we do change how we impact the environment. And this image comes from the Las Vegas cicada plague a couple of years ago. And you can see that on the left, that bright white blue LED light, they're flocking to that one, whereas there are none around that nice, fully shielded, warm amber light. So, you know, we can make a difference, and what we do matters and really impacts others around us. And photography also really shows how much our lighting can impact our view of the night sky. So these photos come from Jeff Dye in China, who's one of my favorite astrophotographers. And here we see, this is an image before this village completed lighting retrofits, and the sky this is what he was able to capture in the night sky before they made those changes. And then after they made those changes, this is the resulting amount of light he was able to capture from the night sky. And it's just a pretty stunning difference of what you can see, as well as the light on the ground is actually a lot more uniform, right? So there's not no light on the ground, it's better. And it actually looks like it might be easier to see and walk around when the light is actually just on the ground and not glaring everywhere. And this is probably my favorite project of how I've seen photography used for dark sky advocacy. These are taken by one of our volunteers in Virginia. And she got a grant from her local arts council and was able to go around to people's homes or barns or cars or whatever they wanted and take pictures of their home under the night sky, print them out and give it to them. And you can imagine, like, if I didn't care about the stars before and I saw this stunning photo of the Milky Way above my barn, I would probably want to pitch in and support it, you know, and keep those skies dark and keep it as beautiful as it is. And so IDA, we're really here to help all of these projects that work to raise awareness and help protect the night from light pollution. We're a global nonprofit headquartered in Tucson, Arizona. And our mission is simple, just to protect the night from light pollution. And we do this through promoting responsible lighting guidelines. So these are kind of the 5 to really keep in mind when looking at lighting for your home or for your community. Is the light useful? Do you actually need it? You'd be surprised how many lights just exist for no reason. Is it shielded? Is it targeted towards the ground and not towards your neighbor's window or up into the night sky? Is it only as bright as you need it, or is it way too bright? Can you possibly put it on a dimmer, a timer, or a motion sensor to limit the amount of time that that light is on? And can make sure that your light is warm. Warm lighting, as we all know, right? Like, what color headlamps do we use at star parties? Definitely not the bright white ones. So warmer light is always better for nighttime environment. It's better for human health. It's better for ecological health. And I think it just looks prettier. I think it's warm and romantic, whereas like bright white LEDs make me think of prison yards or hospitals. And so those are the 5 principles for responsible lighting, and hopefully they can help guide you in working with your own home or your community in installing better lighting. And if you're looking for dark sky friendly lighting, we have an online fixture seal of approval program where we have a database of hundreds of dark sky approved fixtures that you can search on our database. And IDA also certifies international dark sky places. And I'm sure you know this because maybe Cindy can help me here, but is it Texas or Utah that's #1 now? I know you guys have been neck and neck.
Utah.
Utah's winning.
Beating us right now, but we are working on it really hard.
Yeah. So Texas and Utah are always neck and neck for the most number of dark sky places on a state level around the world. And it's really inspiring. I think Texas has a lot of dark sky communities as well, which always makes me really happy to see, because it's not about just, protecting the dark in these rural and remote areas. It's really about having better lighting where people are living and playing so that everybody's life can be better and healthier together. And this is our map of our advocates around the world. We also have a huge network of volunteers around the world who are working to protect the night sky in their own community. This is my main job at IDA. I get to work with all of these incredible people. And our goal is really to kind of create a space where people can come together and make dark sky friends. It's easy to feel alone in the fight against light pollution. And we are trying really hard to build a community and a network of people who can all support each other. Because we don't all have to reinvent the wheel, right? Like Diana in Serbia is doing amazing work on like building community support, right? And when she shares that knowledge with Bill in Oregon, it's amazing to see how much knowledge and passion there is around there in the world. And so we really try to build an advocate network to help people help each other and support each other in this work. And I would like to invite you all to join us November 12th and 13th. We're having our Under One Sky Global Conference. This is the second year we'll be doing it virtually. So anyone can join from anywhere. It's a 24-hour extravaganza event so that it's convenient for somebody in some time zone at all time. And our own Cindy Cassidy will be presenting a workshop there for us on how to host a night sky festival. As we know, the Texas Night Sky Festival has been hugely successful, and we really hope that Cindy can inspire others to promote that same type of love and passion for a dark sky festival around the world. So go to our website. You can go to conference.darksky.org, or you can just go to our main darksky.org website and find information about how to register. And this is also just a shameless plug to get involved with the work that the IDA Texas chapter is doing. I am always so impressed and inspired by the work that is being done across Texas. And Cindy has been a fearless leader for all the time that I've worked at IDA. But it's really exciting. They're supporting the work to designate what would be the largest international dark sky reserve around the greater Big Bend area. which would also dip into the Mexican side of things as well. And so I love that idea of just the binational collaboration on dark skies. There's so many dark sky communities in Texas. There's so many amazing efforts happening across the state. And so I would encourage you to get involved, to reach out to Cindy, and also as astronomers to include the messaging of IDA Texas and dark skies in general in your public outreach. You have such a unique opportunity to catch people and capture them and show them the importance of what a dark sky looks like and feels like. And so I really hope that you join us in protecting the night sky. And with that, you can email me if you have any follow-up questions. You could follow my Instagram if you want to see more pretty night sky photos. And I think there might be some time for questions if folks have any. Otherwise, thank you so much for inviting me, Dawn, and it was really a pleasure to be here with all of you today.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betty Maya.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thanks, guys.
So, folks, any questions out there?
Well, one, that first beautiful picture that you started with, where is that so I can go there with my telescope?
So that is actually, that's Dark Canyon Lake in the LaSalle Mountains outside of Moab, Utah. But I actually got kicked out right after I took that photo because I was on the wrong side of the lake and that half of the lake was private, and this scary man in a big truck shone bright headlights on me and came up to me and was like, you need to get out. So just make sure you stay on the right side of the lake if you do go there.
There are more of Betty Maya's photos that were used in a video. She let us use them. That's on the front page of the Joint Texas Night Sky Festival and IDA Texas website that y'all might enjoy that movie. I know that it has been requested and we're working on getting it so that the movie can be downloaded. There are people who want to use it with part of their educational talks before, while they're waiting for it to get dark before star parties.
It's a great video.
I think that'd be a wonderful idea.
Which video was that? Pardon me? Which video was?
If you look in the chat, I put the link, and it's front and center when you go to that.
Okay, I just wanted to remind everyone that we own the City Dark. The club does the video.
I love that movie.
Yeah. So
that was the first thing that I ever that's how I learned about light pollution.
Yeah, it's great. And if no one has it, I'm out here, we moved to Washington State, so we're not in Texas now. But I have a copy of it. If you can't find it, find the club's copy. Just
You have it on DVD?
Yeah, I have it on DVD.
I've got it on that, but you can also download it from the main IDA website.
Good. We didn't have to. We had to buy it.
No, I don't think you can.
Oh, you can't anymore?
You can download Losing the Dark, but not the City Dark.
Okay.
So
actually, yeah, I like Losing the Dark better. The City Dark, City Dark leaves people going, oh, well, that's nice, but I need my security lights.
Oh.
I can if I could share my screen, I could show y'all where that movie is.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Okay.
So while she's looking it up, I was poking.
It's screen sharing is disabled for me. Let's see.
Oh, that's right. I do have to promote you. Give me a second.
I can always use a promotion.
I like your background, Cindy.
Find you in the long list here.
Well, I pulled that up for you. Make you smile.
Thank you. It did.
Okay, your co-host now.
There. Okay. So the link I put in the website which is you can go to TX as an abbreviation for Texas, NSF as in nightskyfestival.org. That's the easiest way, shortest link, and it takes you into our joint IDA Texas chapter and Texas Night Sky Festival website. And the video, which I can play a touch of, features
I am the night sky.
some of Betty Byers'
My stars are bright and tiny
videos.
sparks, diamonds in the sky. I'm in the songs and stories of childhood. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Good night, moon. My whirling clouds, bright crescent moon, made starry night, Van Gogh's timeless masterpiece.
Anyway, I'll stop it there and let y'all, go look at it. But it was done locally. We used some other shots as well as Betty Myers, and a lady here locally wrote the words. A teacher at one of our local middle schools did the voiceover. The video was produced by a fellow master naturalist here. The whole thing was done locally, but lots of good information over here for you. And I could spend an hour on it walking you through it, but go explore it.
Cindy, are there plans for the Texas Night Sky Festival in 2022?
No. There was going to be, and some things got so the people that were going to help with it decided to go off on their own, and we've got 3 groups that I want to talk to about doing a night sky festival. Do them in different parts of the state. Right now I'm rather busy with Hayes County Friends of the Night Sky, making sure it gets going, and some changes we're doing with the Texas chapter. But I'll get back to the Night Sky Festival, and hopefully we'll have that. I'd like to have 3 of them around, actually, in the state in different parts.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Don, did you have a site you wanted to plug?
Sure. I was going to just let some folks know about some other resources that they have access to. Let me go ahead and, Terry, can you set me so I can share my screen?
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, give me a second. You've got it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So as most of you probably know, I'm the Night Sky Program Coordinator for the Hill Country Alliance. And so there are a great number of resources available on our site. If you want to check it out, we've got information with regards to just general data about light pollution, types of night sky friendly lighting. If you click on our Get Involved section, we have an entire area dedicated to linking to our night sky friendly groups, including Hayes County Friends of the Night Sky. And there's also a lot of other information here about ordinances and resolutions that have been passed throughout the Hill Country. And then, of course, a lot of information on our Hill Country Night Sky Month, which is going on right now in October, including our events and activities calendar, where you can attend various star parties and events happening throughout the Hill Country and throughout the end of this month. The other screen I want to share is this one here, which is our Travis County Friends of the Night Sky site. So if you are in Travis County and you want to get more involved in night sky preservation, we meet monthly, and our next meeting will be coming up at the end of the month on Sunday. I believe it's the 24th, but I can get that exact information. And we do a lot of educational work. Right now, we're partnering with the city of Jonestown and the city of Lago Vista, both areas which are working towards getting their IDA certification, and then also just generally doing outreach and education within the Travis County area. So those are all available to you, and I can put those links in the chat. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you, Don. Okay. So any more questions, folks? I've got one. So I was poking around on darksky.org and noticing all the designations for dark sky places and the categories that you have. And there was some tree that had numbers behind them. So like 40 parks, but then there are also communities and reserves and sanctuaries. And then at the top, there was a number was 167. And what I could see from categories all added up to about 60. So I'm wondering what category those other 100 dark sky places might be.
The map on our website is like from 1988, so it's probably just an inaccurate map count. And I don't have the numbers off the top of my head of what all of our designations are. But I think the one that has the most is International Dark Sky Parks. And we have those parks around the world. And we have the least urban night sky places. So that's something we'd love to see more of in the future. We just designated one in Ohio yesterday or today, I can't remember, one in Missouri a few days ago. And so those are kind of beginning to take off.
We actually have the McKinney Falls State Park is in the process of assembling their application. So they would ultimately be the first urban night sky park in Texas.
Sweet.
All right.
We'll hear that. That's really exciting.
Well, I just want to point out to everybody that if you're building a bucket list of dark places, you want to find some dark places to observe from. That list of the parks and some of the other, you can put a pretty good bucket list, and it's not just here in the U.S. International. So it's a good place to start if you're looking for sites.
Yeah. And congratulations on your Hill Country Night Sky Month. I'm honored to be a part of it. And thanks for letting me present first. Heading out on the San Juan River for the weekend. So I'm going to skedaddle unless anyone has any more questions, but it was really nice to meet all of you. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben Maya.
Bye-bye. Okay. See if I can back to our agenda here. Let me get out of full screen view. Very well when I'm only on a laptop. Okay, so we started our meeting kind of backwards in the main presentation, but we also have some features that we usually show, and we'll just stay in presentation mode. So Brian, I know that you had actually several things you could show tonight. I don't know how much more time we want to spend on this, but you might just want to pick what your better highlights here, and let's just go with that.
Okay, Terry, how about I do, let's go with the update, NASA's update, what's up in astronomy. And then if we got any time after that, then we can do a little show and tell on the items that I had. If not, we'll move on to something else, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, let me, I gotta bring this back up. I have to have this in order to do a share. So let me pop up a share and let's see. Terry, you're the best person to give me a feedback on whether or not I have the correct screen showing.
Okay, right now.
Okay, you have a screen showing in front of you that should say SCARP A, B,
Top A,
C,
B,
and D,
Mhm.
top view, and you can see down here. Can you see my little pointer wiggling around?
Around Perseverance rover.
There you go. All righty, that's the right one. Okay, you're on my secondary screen because I'm having to come up with another way in order to be able to maintain everything here. So, all righty. Now I want to do a quick test and let me know, does the screen change when I did that to a different view?
Now you're looking at a hill.
Excellent. It works. Awesomeness. Figured it out. Okay. What's up in astronomy? How is everybody tonight? What we got going on is the latest and the greatest information from something we talked about going to visit for quite a while. And we had a lot of things going on with this meeting, this mission. Among the things going on with this mission was we wanted to test fly a helicopter, the first ever heavier than air device to be flown on another planet, and they figured out how to do that. They did it. Okay. And the six-wheeled awesomeness Perseverance is moving onward through Jezreel Crater. Now, this top-down view of Jezreel Crater that I'm wiggling and pointing around here, you can see SCARP, which is short for escarpment. It's NASA speak, I guess. SCARP A, SCARP B, SCARP C, and SCARP D. And you can see by the shadows of these satellite-level images that these are kind of sharp-edged, and that they were looking at this area going, hey, that's kind of a delta. Therefore, it is an excellent place to go and look to see if maybe there was water. Therefore, maybe we can come a little closer to determining yay, nay, was there life there? And this is the current view we have right there, Perseverance rover. Okay, so I'm going to move this on over here. Let's go with this. This is a view of it. This, in point of fact, let me scoot down here to where I'm at on my side. There we go. Get onto that side of the screen. All right, so this guy is SCARP A. SCARP A is the one that was at the top of the page right there. And what they're pointing at is these sharp edges where you've got the sediment that is washed down below, but you got something that's a harder or more compact rocks and sand and compact mud, clay might even be the proper term, that's sticking up here at the top. And that typically is something that occurs when you have water flowing. So the newest paper here, on a paper from the science team of NASA's Perseverance rover, it details how the hydrological cycle of the now dry lake at Jezreel Crater is more complicated and intriguing than originally thought. Now, the findings are based on the detailed imaging that the rover is able to provide now of the long, deep, steep slopes called escarpments or scarps in the delta, which formed from sediment accumulating at the mouth of an ancient river that long ago fed the crater's lake. The images reveal that billions of years ago, when Mars had an atmosphere thick enough to support water flowing across its surface, Jezreel's fan-shaped river delta experienced late-stage flooding events that carried rocks and debris into it from the highlands that are well outside of the aforementioned crater. Taken by the rover's left and right mast cam Z cameras, as well as its remote micromanager or RMI, part of the SuperCam instrumentation cluster. They also provide an insight into where the rover could best hunt for rock and sediment samples, including those that may contain organic compounds and other evidence that life may once have existed there. Now, the team has long planned to visit the delta because of this, and this is crucial. This is explaining the reason why they were looking at the paper this way. The delta, they wanted to visit this delta because of its potential for harboring signs of ancient microbial life. One of the mission's primary goals is to collect samples that could be brought to Earth by a multi-mission Mars sample return effort that we've heard described previously. After the samples are taken, something will be built, a craft that will take some kind of a rover, collect them, and attempt to bring all of this back to Earth for the first time without actually having any humans on foot. So that's pretty awesome. Enabling scientists to analyze the material with powerful lab equipment that is too large to bring to Mars, thus giving us a better view. The paper on Perseverance's SCARP imagery, the first research to be published with data acquired after the rover's February 8th landing, was released online today in the Journal of Science. And the quote here is the key observation that enables us to once and for all confirm the presence of a lake and river delta at Jezreel, unquote. They're pretty sure of it at this point. Perseverance had what we call a Kodiak moment. If I go back here we got this Kodiak. It's not just an island in Alaska. About the time the images were taken, the scarps were to the northwest of the rover, about 1.2 miles away. Southwest of the rover, at the same distance, lies another prominent rock called Kodiak. This ancient past, Kodiak was the southern edge of the delta, which would have been an intact geologic structure at the time. Now, prior to the Perseverance arrival, Kodiak had been imaged only from orbit. From the surface, the rover's mast cam Z and RMI revealed for the first time the stratigraphy. I like that word. Tim? Stratigraphy, is that a geology word?
Almost. It's stratigraphy you're after.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad we have a geologist online. Tim, thank you. The order and position of the rock layers provides the information about the relative timing of geological deposits. Now, along Kodiak's eastern face is where they can actually see visible strata, like you would see in a lot of places on Earth, with the different colors and densities and sediments of rock. The inclined and horizontal layering there is what a geologist would expect to see in a river delta on Earth. So this is excellent evidence that we've been looking at here. Other examples here of how they're doing it. This image that you should have in front of you now, the one at the bottom shows a box, and at the top it's been zoomed in. Well, these are actually composite images that the new cameras that they're using now are taking. They're stitching them together in order to gather more details, because again, they're about 1.2 miles away, which when you think about it, it's pretty impressive. Now, I'm gonna scoot over one more, and let's see if I can come on down. I hope this is scrolling up like it's supposed to. Do you have a new image up there now, Terry?
It's scrolling.
Okay, it's scrolling. Good, thank you, thank you. Okay, this one may not give me what I want. I'm gonna go ahead and make it large. Let me know if it changes. Okay, did it just change and get larger?
Changed and got
Yes.
small.
Okay, it changed, it got smaller. Okay, there was a full image details one that if I call up, I've got to change and go reshare the screen. But this view, I believe this is the one that's a view of Kodiak, and you see the strata right here underneath where I got the little pointer, and you can see where all of this rock and sediment is flowing down it like it's been moved. Okay, and then you've got that outcropping of rock that's sharp edged and straight. And if you get up close to it, and we're hoping to do that pretty soon here on this side as well, you can see where the strata is, the edges would see where you got this kind of strata and it's hanging, it's overhanging another strata because what was underneath it has eroded from underneath it. This is evidence of a delta. Thought that was a pretty cool one. So let me get back down here. There's another image I might be able to get to pop up for you. Let me see if I can make it work. Okay, do you see an image that's real long and skinny?
2 of them.
Okay, 2 of them. Do you see where my little pointer is wiggling? There's scarp A, scarp B, scarp C, and scarp D. So these are the views of them where we're seeing the strata jutting out from the flows and the sediment. And they took these images panoramically and stitched them together. So, you know, maybe they duct taped an iPhone onto the top of the thing and just did it, because we can do that kind of thing here with our phones. This is the kind of thing that's just much higher resolution that we sent to Mars. So that's the kind of images we're getting that are going, it's eureka moments, guys. It's, hey, we got proof that there was water and a river delta here, which is really cool. Really cool. So more information will be coming down the pipes as they move the rover closer and are able to get better images and start boring out the holes in the rocks and taking the samples. We'll probably get some images published on that. So that is what's happening in astronomy. And I think that's exciting. Let me go into non-share mode. Share stopped. You should have it back, Terry.
Okay, so what else have you got?
Okay, what else I have? I have another bad habit that goes with astronomy. I am one of those weird people who may actually look at the sky more during the day than at night, because there's this one really bright star that I think is interesting. And it's the one star that we can look straight at really close in several spectra and get a lot more details than we can other stars, including if we were fortunate enough to, you know, travel down south and take a look at Proxima Centauri. Well, okay, that's what is it, 4 or 6 years lights away, Terry? Is that 6 light years?
4.3, I think.
4.3. Well, 4.3 light years away, we still couldn't get the kind of nifty neato data that we can get by looking at our 93 million miles away sun that helps support all life on this planet. And so you've seen in the past, those of you who have been members for a while, where I've shown you equipment, because I'm an equipment guy, and images and different things that I like to see from looking at the sun. So what I'm going to do here is another share, and let me pop up what it is that I need to be showing for this so that I can just go over this real quickly. And then I want to show you a couple of pieces of equipment that you too can use at any time. You do not have to have ultra expensive equipment to do this. Our sun is getting more active. So let's go to share screen. What do we have up here? Guys, what do we have in front of me right now? Do we see a sun that is split into 2 different colors?
Yes.
Rock and roll. Okay, well, what we have is an image here. The one over here that you may see a plus and a magnifier. I'm going to click it, see if it happens. Okay, let's go back to normal. Here we go. Okay, so my pointer over on my left, you can see these little prominences along here, and you've got some surface detail and dark and light colors and different lighter colors going around these long skinny things we call filaments, and these bright or dark, or rather darker but contrastier is the word, spots. This is a hydrogen alpha image, and it is shown shielded or shadowed is a better word for it, and slightly bigger because you're looking at one part of the sun. You've got your chromosphere versus your white light. Okay, see this white light image over here? You don't see surface. You're never going to see the prominences because they're outside of the range that we can see, but you can definitely see the lighter and darker images of the sunspots. The real intense ones are the ones that are pointing at us that are a different temperature, and in the base where it's a lighter color around it, that you can see in white light. So let's hop over here and see if I can pull this up. Okay, that's just two different images right there. Yeah, it's just two different images. All right. So the way we would do this, let me stop my share. All right, can you see me okay with my nifty neato little background? Okay, yeah, that's beautiful. I love that telescope. So I'm gonna show you a couple things real quick. So for those of you who want to look at the sun and you want to convert your equipment to do that, I hope you can see this. This I was one of the many people who won one of these. Holy cow. I need a non-background, don't I? How do I turn off my background here real quick?
You have to do it from the Zoom app. And go to your profile, go to settings.
Choose video filter, stop video, mute miles, all these different things. Yeah, that's going to be pretty far in there. Well, let me just see if I can you see this enough to see what it says? Sun safe.
If you hold it right in front of your face, I think it'll show up better. So hide behind
How's
it.
that? How's that?
Yeah, pretty good. Sort of.
Okay. What I've got here is a build your own safe solar filter to view the sun. What it boils down to is something, you can write this down. Seymour Solar. Terry, if you want to put any of these notes in for the general chat, SEYMOUR, Seymour Solar. What I would caution anybody to do who's going to look at the sun, and I say this, we're all astronomers here. If we've ever gone out and we've looked at the sky and we've been around stuff during the day at all and talked to other astronomers, we've all heard it's written on there, you don't ever point a telescope directly at the sun unless you have that telescope set up to filter. This is a very thin, black looking material, looks very much like a black trash bag, but go and find yourself online solar filter material that is a brand name, not something that is nameless on eBay. That could be from anywhere. You don't know how well that's made. You only got one pair of eyes. Let's take care of them. So the SunSafe viewer is a sheet that's about a 9x12, and it looks like a black trash bag. This is the American made one. It all comes from one company. You could get it directly from them, I believe. Thousand Oaks. And that is a solar filter. And you can find online, how do I build a solar filter for my telescope? And there's bukus of it, videos, all kinds of things. You can make the frame portion of it and stick it on there with tape. You can make it out of a cardboard cereal box and tape it onto the front of your refractor, or do an off axis on one of your reflectors if you like. But this is one way to see that white light view that I showed you. And it gives the sun kind of a nice, plain, comfortable little orangey view. It's an inexpensive way to do it. Another way to do it, you may or may not be able to see these. I'm gonna put these right up in the camera's face. Okay, these are not antennas for looking at the background radiation of the universe, much as I kind of wish they were. These guys are solar funnels. Okay, you can look this up online. Also, solar funnels, how to build a solar funnel. These were made using an oil filler for putting your car oil in, it's a long, skinny funnel that you use. And they give a listing there of a type of projection screen. It's kind of a thin, rubbery projection screen material, and they link to get to it. It may still be for sale by the square foot. Another version is one that Don made a couple of these. I think this is made out of a shower curtain. But the idea is you put an eyepiece that's based, you got to figure your eyepiece based on the size and type and focal ratio of your telescope. And the eyepiece, you take the outside rubber eye cup and you slip this over it and you clamp it on there, and it will project the image here. And you go ahead and just use your 90-degree diagonal and then point your telescope at the sun during the day. So you can use a very small telescope, and it will, based on the focal length of eyepiece you put in here, and again, the instructions will explain this, it'll project a white light image of the sun on this funnel, on this louder surface, and you can see the black spots on it. And several kids can gather around this to see it without having to put their eyes up to the eyepiece. It's one way to do it. Another tried and true tested method that goes way back, I've seen Domingo Rochen use this one many times. It'll take a little 60 millimeter long focal ratio telescope and take the diagonal out in the back and stick the eyepiece in the back of it, and then just put a piece of paper or cardboard or something suspended at the right distance, balanced on a chair behind it, and then just run the focuser back and forth until it gets it clean and clear. It goes through, it crosses over the focal point, goes through the eyepiece, and then projects out the eyepiece directly onto the piece of paper, and you get a similar projected image. That's another one, how to look at the sun using a projected image. These are indirect methods of looking at the sun, so you're in no danger of hurting yourself. Other methods, example that I've got here out of the box. All right, this, you can barely see these because I haven't fixed my background. This is a common 15 by 70 pair of Celestrons that are out of collimation, and I'll just go ahead and get them fixed and put them back into service. Well, one of the things that I built before going up to Wyoming in 2017 is this. You can do this. Let me get this in the screen. Okay, this is a piece of sewer pipe, PVC. Well, I happen to have a lathe, so I can cut the back of this to an exact size. You don't need to use PVC, but that black film that I told you about, Thousand Oaks film, I'm going to pull that out of here. Like I said, I do it mechanically because I swap these out. Here's what this thing looks like. It looks like a black disc because I stuck it on a piece of black plastic I cut out. You could just as easily stick this thing on a piece of cardboard as long as you cover the whole aperture of whatever it is you're going to be looking through. And in this case, I specifically made it to fit directly on this pair of binoculars so that you put one on either side and you've got a nice binocular view. And if you mount it on something steady, well, that is a portion of how I watch the eclipse. So depending upon how creative and crafty you are, you can cut these little rings out of wood, plastic, a really stiff cardboard, a really stiff foam material, and you can create your own bezels. So that's what I did with this. Let me get this to wrap up here real quick. Other examples of this, I'm going to show you one of these that I use on one of my personal telescopes. This one looks shiny. Here, I'm going to show you through the film, like through the back of it. We'll get it right in the camera. There we go. It looks, see how that looks shiny? Like that's a piece of Mylar. This is Bader film, B-A-A-D-E-R, Bader film. Bader is the other reputable company from Germany who makes a shiny silver solar filter, and you'd look up Bader film solar filter, and it gives you a white light filter. It's like a really powerful pair of sunglasses, and it gives you a more pale white, and doesn't give you that warm glow. So the contrast is slightly different. That's why I keep both. So I can do a Thousand Oaks, or I can do this one. I'll just pop it in or out, point it back up at the sky, and see a slightly different version. Again, they don't give you surface details, but they'll sure show you the sunspots. And lastly, I did not get this image uploaded. You may or may not be able to see this, but I snapped an image today to prove that I am not crazy. All right. This is a commercially available filter that you can buy. It's got an aluminum bezel. You know, you'll spend, I don't know, $100 a high end on one, and this will fit maybe a 3-inch telescope. And it's got kind of a foam on the inside. Okay, this says bad because it is. This one, although it has glass rather than a soft film on it, the glass has something deposited on it, and it has been scratched. And when I held it up to the sun, I could see scratches. I'm looking at them all through here. I can see them through the computer screen. I can see bright patches of light all around where it's scratched looking through the computer screen. So I took these images, which you won't be able to see anything on it, but I put these, let me get behind it. You can see an image where what I was doing was pointing at the sun this afternoon. You can see the bad written on the front of it, just barely there. There you go. Okay, and the images show the bright spots coming through. This is labeled as bad because I would not put this on my telescope. The reason being, yeah, you could hold it up and watch an eclipse or something with it, and you're gonna have a little of that sun getting through at full strength, all the ultraviolet, all of the UVs, all of the brightness of the light, but it's really small. It doesn't hurt my eyes. Not like this, it doesn't. But when you put it through a lens and concentrate it down to the focal point, you won't know that you're hurting your eyes. So this is a piece of equipment just like those filters and films. You want to hold them up, kind of wiggle them around, check them every so often, and don't stretch them at all. When you turn them on, when they'll tell you when you're building them, don't stretch them. You want to just lay them flat. It's okay if they're wrinkled. You will not see the wrinkles. They won't bother your image whatsoever. But please, please be safe. So this one, I'm going to knock this part out of the middle and probably build a better filter and put it in here because that's a decent bezel, but it's labeled as bad, so I will not attempt to use it again. So that is my most recent update, unless you've got a couple more minutes, and I'll show you one more piece of hardware that shows you white light, that if you want to spend a little more money, you can do it. How we doing, Terry? Terry, you're muted.
I said, we got a couple of minutes. Go ahead, Brian.
All right, we'll make it quick. This was how yours truly looked at the sun for the longest. I, as you know, spent a couple of years pulling together all the parts, and I started with, I got a lunt eventually, and then I double stacked it and put everything on it. Some of y'all have heard me talk about it, and I love hydrogen alpha. It's so detailed, it's beautiful. And the lunt is an amazing instrument. And I'd have to say that the Coronado does some things very similar to it. So either one of those is really good. That's just my personal preference. I like what's called the true Doppler tuning. It uses compressed air internally. But for my white light viewing, I only use these filters that I've been showing you that are essentially putting a big sunglasses across the front of your optic, be it a pair of binoculars or a small telescope. And so what's coming through after that filter is relatively safe. You're not accidentally going to burn the inside of your telescope or anything like that. Whereas the indirect methods, they actually do not have a filter. They do all the way through, and you'll want to keep the sun centered because that focal point is going to get kind of off to one side, and you may burn up a plastic eyepiece. Just a heads up on that. So that's
Okay,
how I
Brian,
did my white light, was strictly
I think you burned
filtration.
you a couple minutes there. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, you'll get some nasty uglies on the inside of your plastic eyepieces. I found a metal eyepiece was able to take it if it wandered off the sun without a big problem on a small scope, but a plastic one, it'll destroy it. So the other choice was I was doing filtered white light or hydrogen alpha. There is actually kind of a happy medium. You can buy this new if you can get one because everything is sold out. But I happened to run across this thinking, you know, I want to get one of these. So a Herschel Wedge, I'm going to get behind it. There you go. I'm behind this. I'm totally behind this. In this case, this particular Herschel Wedge happens to be a lunt, and I was going to get a 1 1/4 format. I ended up finding this one for a good price. I probably paid around $220 for this one. Bader makes one. Celestron makes one. There's several companies that have what's called a Herschel Wedge. That's functionally the name. It's named for the father of modern astronomy, Herschel, a Herschel Wedge. And what it is a, let me put this back in here, a wedge-shaped piece of glass that does very similar to what a 90-degree prism would do, but the prism is not 90 degrees. It's shaped in such a way that it peels off and wastes a lot of the light. It projects it somewhere other than up where your eye would be. And so it's essentially peeling that light down to a little less than 1/100,000th of the total intensity of the light. It's still all white light. All of the light goes through. It peels the extra off and brings the intensity down. And what a wedge, in most cases, we'll use this one as an example. What a lunt does, I think most of them will do this. You can't see this down in here. Hold on, let me get it up close. Okay, you see that looks dark down in there? Okay, it's not because I got a lens cap on. It doesn't look any lighter. That dark that's down in there is a dark filter. It's a polarized filter. You can get polarized lunar filters. So this is a polarized filter and is one of them. So you can get another polarized filter and put it on your eyepiece, be it a 2-inch or a 1 1/4 format. And when you drop that eyepiece in there, you can rotate that eyepiece in there a little bit and control the light and dark, because two polarized filters, as they rotate like this, will go from a maximum darkness or a maximum light impedance to a maximum light transmittance. and you can set
Okay,
it to
Brian,
a
I'm gonna have to
comfortable
cut you
level.
off at this point.
So, any rate, for a couple $100, this goes up to 4 inches. So if you're slightly bigger than that, make yourself something that covers the front. And it's another way to keep looking at the sun, because as long as there's no clouds, it's going to be up every day. And
All right.
that's everything I know about looking at the sun tonight.
All right, Brian, thank you. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on and have a little bit of a business meeting here. I'm going to take the screen back here and Netflix. That's not mine, is it? Get back to our agenda really quickly. Okay, I don't know how many people got a chance to skim the notes when we were starting up. We started pretty quick here. We got some pretty short minutes here. I'm going to take 1 or 2 minutes here for everybody to go through the September minutes. Okay, if everybody's had a chance to read those, I'm trying to grab my agenda and move it back over here, but I'm having some issues. Okay. All right, if there are no questions or comments about the minutes, we'll go ahead and consider them approved. And we'll go ahead with officer reports here. We don't have a vice president. The short story on what speakers we have coming up next month. We will have Dr. Whit Luddington, who is another avid member of the Variable Star Association, AAVSO, and he will give us a talk, I believe, featuring eclipsing binaries as a particular classification of variable stars to observe, and he can tell a good story about them. December, we have the option, I guess, of having our Christmas star party, depending upon how things are going with social gatherings at that point. That'll be our Friday in December, no meeting. And in January, we are hoping to bring back Don Olson, finally give us a talk. He's been itching to get together with us, and we've been itching to get together with him, but he can only do a live meeting. So if we are meeting back on the UT campus in January, our speaker will be Don Olson. Okay. I don't think Patrick came on, so nothing to report from the Treasury. Joyce, outreach. Hello,
Okay,
Joyce.
since our last meeting, we have had 3 public star parties, 2 at Inks Lake and 1 at Pedernales Falls. We have 2 left in 2021, both at Pedernales Falls at the end of October and the end of November. We have been asked by the Austin Symphony to provide some telescopes outside the Long Center for their concerts next Friday and Saturday. The biggest part of the program is Host the Planets, and so they thought it would make sense for us to be there and with some telescopes to show off the planets. We can see Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus from right outside the auditorium. So I will be sending out an email tomorrow to everybody with details, and hope to get some volunteers who are willing to come and bring their telescopes. And for doing so, you get free tickets to the concert. So look for that email with more information tomorrow. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Joyce. Any questions for Joyce? Kind of looking forward to that, to the concert, actually. I think that's going to be a good opportunity. So communications chair.
Hi, Terry. I hope you can hear me.
We got you.
Not too much this month, except for the fundraiser for STEM scholarships with custom ink has been completed. The jackets should be shipped out soon. They're still in printing mode, so hopefully within a few days they'll be shipping out. And I wanted to thank everybody who bought a jacket or made a donation. Thank you very much. It's appreciated. And that's it for me.
Okay, Sean, we had some people that kind of felt like they missed out on that. So what's the possibility of doing them again?
We absolutely can, but I wanted to defer to the EC in case they wanted to do a fundraiser for our budget.
Okay. All right, we'll discuss it in the EC then. Okay, thanks, Sean. Okay. Greg, anything on equipment?
So one thing we will have to do for the observatory at Pedernales is expand the battery bank. We did a test at the last stellar party, and the one battery lasted only about 2 hours. So we're going to have to add some more batteries to that. Other than that, the last thing we've got to do out there is build some bookshelves, and we're pretty much done and ready to bring telescopes in.
Great. I've been waiting to hear for that for a long time. Okay.
Roger that.
Anything else, Greg?
Yeah, but I don't think we're ready to announce it yet.
You thinking about the 12-foot dome or something?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. We can probably defer talking about that, but in the future. Okay.
Spoiler alert.
What was that, Dawn?
I said spoiler alert.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we didn't give everything away.
Yeah, you ready to give up your weekends again, Dawn?
Yeah, if we go down this road, it's going to be a lot of work. So definitely have to have some discussions there.
Yeah, I think we're going to be needing to get some more volunteers for this one.
Okay.
Humans.
All right. So we have nobody chairing member services now. A couple of folks did ask why we weren't having a star party out at Bad Wolf this weekend, this new moon, close to new moon weekend. And we are a couple of things going on there, actually. We are switching out the toilet situation there. We're going to stop using the porta potty service, which is very expensive for what we get. And Alan is actually going to be constructing some toilets out there. I believe that construction is underway. Anyway, it shouldn't be very long before we can switch over to those. And it's possible we may have a star party out there by the end of this month or early in November. Stay tuned for that. But we do have to get the planning done for that. And we're sort of an ad hoc committee now here for member services. So planning has been a little bit hard to get organized, but we're working on it. Dawn, do you want to give us anything for Alcor?
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and just throw the link here in the chat. There is a new observing program going on right now with the Astronomical League. This is one of those NASA special observing program and challenges. Specifically, this one is for International Observe the Moon Night. So if you click on that link, you'll be taken to the AL page, which gives specific instructions on what needs to be done to qualify for that certificate. There's also a simple downloadable certificate that you can generate if you just happen to take part in that event on October 16th. Otherwise, there's various requirements for generating or at least attending an outreach activity, observing the moon, calculating percentage of illumination, and sketching or imaging at least at least 10 features. So that can be found on the link I attached. And in other news, the dates for the 2022 Astro League Conference have been created. God's willing and the creek don't rise. It will be in person for the third attempt in Albuquerque on the 28th through 30th of July.
Okay, we'll keep our fingers crossed. So, okay, that brings us, let's take care of our officer reports. Not a lot of new business to discuss. We can open it up for questions here in just a minute if somebody has some points they want to ask about But first, just to let you know that we are working on another member survey. We believe we want to do a capital campaign this year. We're also talking about other fundraising, cost-cutting measures. One of those includes possibly raising dues or initiating some different kind of memberships that where members can contribute on an ongoing basis that might help us raise our capital situation. But before we do a capital campaign, we want to find out from members how they're feeling about our priorities and things that we're working on. Actually, mostly what we want to put money into is infrastructure at Bad Wolf Ranch and possibly at more infrastructure at state parks. Certain types of equipment that we would like to be able to provide to the membership, either in the loaner program or in teaching situations. And possibility that we may want to really think big about another dark sky site where we own it, we buy the land, we build an observatory. It's a pretty major undertaking, so we'll talk about that as an option as well. So we hope to have it out before we meet again, ready to go, so that you guys can get a look at that survey and give us some feedback on that. So that's all I've got on that. Any other points of business that anybody would like to cover? Any questions?
Yeah, hi, Terry. This is Bill Spizzeria. A couple of very quick comments about solar observing. One, I bought Thousand Oaks Mylar material and pre-built filters from Thousand Oaks in 1997, and they're still in fabulous condition and they work great. So on the subject of whether it's a high quality place, I've got my vote. Okay.
Yeah, I've got some from the 90s as well, still using them.
And the other thing is, if you use your telescope or binoculars to project on a piece of white paper, as he mentioned in the talk, you can then trace on that white paper and make drawings of the sunspots that you see. So real cheap astrophotography, sort of. Okay. And the other thing is a question that we don't have to discuss tonight, but is it too early to start talking about the eclipse in what, 2.5 years or whatever it is that's coming through town?
It is definitely not too early to talk about that. It's 3 years away now, or not quite, whatever, but it's going to go by in such a hurry. And there's so many options of what could be done there. I'm kind of, like a deer in the headlights here about go this way, go that way. What's the best thing to do here? So we need to start talking about that as an organization for how we want to front this. I will say we've been contacted by some interesting parties here that have come up with some suggestions. The whole town of Utopia, Texas, is actually at the intersection of not just the total solar eclipse, but the preceding November, there's an annular eclipse across Texas. And those two paths intersect in Utopia, which is south of Vanderpool, west of San Antonio a good bit. It's really dark sky area. And that town is asking if we want to start having some star parties there to build up recognition of it, with the intent of having a main event there for the eclipses. So that's one party that we could partner with. They would like our help, and there are probably some others that are going to crop up as well. When
is the annular?
What about the annular?
When is the annular? Do you know?
I think it's November.
October.
It's October something.
It's October 14th.
October 14th. Yeah, that sounds right.
So if anyone is interested, I actually chair a roundtable quarterly meeting for task forces within the counties in the Hill Country. So if anyone wants to be included on those meetings, especially from a standpoint of representing either Travis County or the Austin Astronomical Society, like I said, those meetings are quarterly. We usually have a guest presenter. Our counties give updates and obviously question and answer with regards to preparation. But those roundtables have been meeting for the last year or so in anticipation for the influx of people we're going to get for those two eclipses.
When's the next
There'll be an influx.
There will definitely be an influx. Even in small counties like Llano County, their population of about 26,000. Most of the counties that match their population number that were on Centerline for 2017 increased by 60,000 visitors.
Oh,
So
do you put info about those meetings in the newsletter?
I can definitely start doing that. Absolutely. We're just actually getting ready to launch the Eclipse information page on the Hill Country Alliance website. So I'll also include that information because we have videos to our previous meetings and also resource pages as well.
When's the next meeting?
Thank you.
Our next meeting will probably be scheduled within the next month or so, and will either be beginning of December or beginning of January in the new year.
Okay, great. So you could also maybe put something up on the Facebook page as well, kind of letting us know, or is that not a good venue for that?
No, probably not a good venue. Ideally, we want to just have, small representation probably from AAS at this time. And then as we get closer, so within, 2-year mark or so, we'll probably start having more breakouts of smaller committees. So we'll probably have a committee that's focusing just specifically on the astronomical societies and clubs in the area and how they can partner with other businesses and organizations to provide outreach and such.
Okay. All right.
Just to confirm, the annular is October 14th, and that is a Saturday. So that will help with the interest.
It won't be as problematic as places like Bandera, who Bandera County is currently looking at having all schools closed on that Monday, the 8th of the annular eclipse in 2024, because there are only 2 roads in and out of Bandera.
Yeah.
And the eclipse will be wrapping up right around the time that buses start going around and picking up schools. So obviously it occurring on a Monday is going to be a bit of a challenge just for general infrastructure, for tourism, for transportation. The 2023 annular eclipse will be somewhat of a pseudo test run for a lot of the counties.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, William. Anybody else have a point of business they'd like to cover? Okay, I think it was Joyce that let me know that we had this RIP Varsity Pizza on our adjournment down here since we've been doing Zoom meetings, and I guess kind of with a thought that RMP, like, is it really dead and gone, or we're maybe going to meet there again in the future. I think Joyce was saying that the building site's been raised for something else.
Well, the building's still there, but there's a fence. There's a fence around the lot, and there's graffiti all over the building. So obviously nothing else has taken over that building. So. Okay.
Well, if we make it back to the UT campus in January, and I'm going to work towards us doing that, we'll have to establish a new tradition here, find a good place for it. So got to be something in the area. So. Okay. How did you guys like the way this meeting flowed with having the presentation first and the business meeting at the end?
I liked it.
I like it better, actually.
I liked it better.
Okay. It certainly makes you focus the business meeting and keep it succinct. Okay.
I think guests and new members would like to see the presentations first, if they're not used to the club,
Yeah, you got a point. All right. Well, we may ask some questions about that on the survey as well. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for your attendance. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again, I believe November the 9th. And take advantage. We've got a clear sky out here in Pontotoc tonight. Some gazing and clear skies to you guys as well.
I thought Terry was in.
Thank you, Terry.
What was that, Tim?
Oh, I just said I thought you were in your observatory. I didn't know if that was a real background or not, but
yeah, it's kind of weird because I'm here with too much light and don't see anything. I got to roll that roof off. So,
well, it's almost sunset here, so I've got my scope out. We're gonna have a clear night. So
great.
Yeah.
All right.
One of
Y'all enjoy it.
Thanks.
Yeah. All I've got is sucker holes here in Florida.
Good night.
Night.
See that, I didn't ever see anything from Jamie. Was she not on?
She
Oh,
had to drop off early.
Yeah, Jamie had to leave
Jerry
early.
was saying
Yeah.
something.